In this lesson, you're going to evaluate exponential expressions by using zero and negative exponents. Alright, so let's go ahead and evaluate these expressions. And we're going to want to do this by, in the end, we want to have positive exponents. Alright, so I've got 6 to the negative fourth times 6 to the fourth. Let's go back to the property. When we're multiplying exponents, remember we are adding the two exponents when you've got the same base. So I've got a 6 to the negative 4 times a 6 to the fourth power. So I'm going to add the exponent, and that's going to give me 6 to the 0 power. Well, remember, 6 to the 0 power, any number to the 0 power is going to be equal to 1. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. This next one, we've got a power of a power. And so what we want to do is go and we're going to multiply the inside power by the outside power. So I'm going to be left with a 4 to the negative, because negative 2 times 2 is going to give me a negative 4. So I've got a 4 to the negative fourth power. And now we don't want to be left with negative powers, so what we're going to do is we're going to place this all over 1, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it down here. That will give me a positive exponent. So I'm going to have 1 all over 4 to the fourth power. And for these examples, we're going to just leave them as exponents. You could always evaluate that even further by taking 4 to the fourth power, but we're not going to do that right now. Alright, our next one. I've got 5 to the negative 1 divided by 5 to the second power. Well, remember, when you divide exponents, you're subtracting the exponents. So let's go ahead and I'm going to take 5 to the negative 1. And now I could take this and I'm going to minus 2. So now I've got a negative 1 minus 2, and that's going to give me a 5 to the negative third power. Well, remember, we don't want to be left with those negative exponents, so let's go ahead and we're going to put this all over 1, and our negative exponents we're going to bring down to the bottom. And we're just going to 1 all over 5 to the third power. And there we go. Alright, the next one. Let's go ahead and we're going to take our negative exponent, or on the outside, and remember, we're going to take and multiply that together. So you're going to be given a negative times a negative is going to give you 5 to the third power. Well, 5 to the third power is a positive exponent, so we're just going to stop right there. And it is also equal to 125, but we're just going to leave these as exponents right now. Alright, the next one. I have negative 3 to the fifth power times negative 3 to the negative fifth power. Well, again, we have same basis, so I'm going to have a negative 3 to the fifth power, and I'm going to then add my negative 5. Okay, that's going to give me a negative 3 to the 0 power, and any number to the 0 power is going to be equal to 1. Our next one, I'm going to take 6 to the negative second, and remember, you're subtracting exponents when you divide. So now I've got 6 to the negative fourth. Alright, we don't want to be left as a negative exponent, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it down, and I'm going to be left with 1 all over 6 to the fourth power will be my answer for that one. Alright, so let's go ahead and simplify our expressions using only positive exponents. Alright, so let's go ahead and we're going to apply that power of a product property, and everything in this then is going to get, it'll be 2 to the third power, x to the third power, and now I've got y to the negative 15th power. So now I'm going to leave my 2 to the third power and the x to the third power alone right now, and I'm going to move my y to the negative 15th power to be down. So I'll have y to the 15th power. And now whenever you have the numbers with the variables, it's good to, I'm just going to simplify that one by taking 2 to the third power, which is going to be 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. So this answer is going to be 8x to the third all over y to the 15th. Alright, so we've got a problem here where we've got a lot of different things going on. We're going to start by distributing this negative 2 to both parts. So I'm going to have 2 to the negative 2 power times x to the negative 2 power times y to the 5th. And that's going to be all over negative 4xy squared. Alright, so now let's go ahead and we're going to move our negative exponents down. By getting everything to positive exponents. So when I do that and I move my, I'm going to be left up at the top with just my y to the 5th power. And now when I move my 2 to the negative 2, it's just going to be 2 to the 2 power. And remember, you're getting rid of the negative when you're moving it down. Times negative 4. And then I've got my x squared, and I've got my x, and I've got my y squared. Alright. So now, let's go ahead and simplify everything on the bottom. So my 2 to the 2nd power is going to give me 4, and 4 times negative 4 is going to give me a negative 16. So let's go ahead and do that. So I've got y to the 5th power all over negative 16. And now let's go ahead and we're going to multiply these two together. I've got, and because I don't see one there, there's going to be a 1. So I'm going to add those together, and you're going to have x to the 3rd power. And now I've got y to the 2nd power. All right. One last thing that can be simplified is that I've got 5 y's on the top and I've got the 2 y's on the bottom. And those cancel out. It's like taking y to the 5th divided by y to the 2nd. Remember, when you divide those, I'm going to subtract the 2. So y to the 5th divided by y to the 2nd is like taking 5 minus 2. So up top I'm going to have y to the 3rd all over negative 16 x to the 3rd, and then that's all I'm going to have left. So my answer here is going to be y to the 3rd all over negative 16 x to the 3rd. All right, let's take a look at one last one. All right, we're going to start with this one by distributing out our negative 3. So I'm going to have 3 to the negative 3rd times x to the negative 3rd times y to the 4th, all over negative x squared y to the negative 6. All right, the next thing we're going to want to do is to move all of our negative exponents into positive exponents. So I'm going to move this one down, I'm going to move this one down, and I'm going to move this one up. Now that negative x squared, that's got a positive exponent, so you're not going to be moving that anyplace. All right, so up at the top, you're going to be left with y to the 4th all over. Let's move our 3 to the 3rd power then. We're going to move our x to the 3rd power times negative x squared. And then we can't forget to bring our y to the negative 6th power up, so I'm going to bring that up as y to the 6th power. All right, now y to the 4th times y to the 6th is going to give me a y to the 10th all over 3 to the 3rd power is 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27. And then my negative times a positive, so it's going to be left with a negative x to then we're going to add these two exponents together to the 5th power. All right, and that's as simplified as we can get. So in this lesson, we took a look at the 0 and the negative exponents, and then we evaluated some expressions using those.